Hello everyone! Today we're going to work with the neural network Claude, which I consider to be one of the best language models. In my opinion, it's much better than ChatGPT. Let's get started. First, we need to register, and here's where things get a bit tricky because Claude requires us to provide a phone number. It depends on the country. So you register with your email, for example, and depending on your country, you might have a bit of an adventure with account verification. Right here we check the box. Yes. Yes. We don't check the second box because that's for their newsletter. And here we get to verify your phone number. Depending on the country, the SMS might arrive faster or slower. And if you don't receive the SMS, my advice to you is to try any other operator in your country. Because sometimes the SMS gets delayed. And this is such a funny and absolutely silly reason why people sometimes don't use Claude, because they simply can't log in. Why did Claude do this? To protect their servers from being overloaded by people, unlike ChatGPT, where such things aren't necessary. And probably also to maintain at least some basic control over who is using the language model and what they're writing. Yes, but still, if not on the first try, then on the second or third attempt, you'll be able to verify your number. After that, you won't need to go through this procedure again, and you'll enter the menu where you can work with Claude. Claude has a very rich set of features, just like any other language model. Yes, it has its own different models. Opus for complex tasks, Sonnet for simpler ones. There are more models available. Previous ones, yes, they're earlier versions. With the free version, your use of Opus will be limited. But in general, everything is accessible to you, even with the free version. Yes, it can write text for you, help with studying, assist with coding, help with various life questions, like planning a trip, making a list of tests, and so on. You can also choose randomly here. You also have the option to upload files to it, but not very large ones. You can send it screenshots, upload information from GitHub or Google Drive. And it also has different writing styles here, with the option to train your own. Yes, there's a standard one for studying, a more specific one, an explanatory style, and a formal one for letters. And I also have my own styles here. Yes, you can train any style you like for yourself, so you can develop your own writing style. Right. Here with Create Custom Style, you can either provide a writing sample or describe the style. What are you planning to do exactly? Are you planning to teach someone? You can describe your audience. You can specify a certain tone of voice, meaning who is communicating. You can give a general description or even customize it in detail for yourself and create your own style. It will then be saved here for you, and you'll be able to switch to it whenever you want to write exclusively in your specific style. And here you can choose any one, for example, explanatory, and you see it turns on here just as quickly and can be turned off. And Claude searches the internet and can also search your Drive, Gmail, and calendar. There are also various additional integrations available. Yes, if you need them. And Claude also knows how to do research. That is to search on a specific topic and conduct a detailed investigation. When we turn this on, it turns blue and then its search takes much longer. It searches for detailed information on the internet for you and comes back with a specific conclusion. Yes, for example, it can select phone models for you, find hotels for your trip, help you choose a doctor in a specific city, restaurants, find the latest articles on your topic, and so on. Anything at all. Yes, that's through research. And today I just want to take a moment to show you a few clear and interesting examples of what this language model can actually do in practice. So let's get to work. All right, our first point. I want Claude to make a summary of an article for me. Here I have a long article. I've chosen, yes, the use of artificial intelligence in mental health. So here I have this prompt just to show you as an example. Yes, I want it to help me with the article's analytics. And here I can, for example, upload a file. All right, let me show you with any file right now. I can just drag and drop a file here like a PDF, but it shouldn't be too large. Or I can simply give it a link to a specific article and then click yes if I want to use it as a reference. Here we can see the summary of this particular article. Yes, the bottom line, the main points. So what are the pros and cons? Because here we're looking at the use of artificial intelligence, yes, in mental health, and yes, what the future applications might be. Critique of the methodology, meaning strengths and weaknesses. Practical applications in business. You see, we have detailed points for each question, and we don't need to. So in just 30 seconds, our entire article has been processed. The main elements, we have a sort of summary, and we can, for example, take it and save it as a PDF on the computer. Here it is, yes. This is what it looks like. We have a ready PDF and we save it. That's it, great. Everything worked out for us. Yes, this is how it can look. I prepared various use cases of Claude for you in different niches. We'll look at some of them. All of them are collected here in this document, your content calendar. You specify your niche, your audience, the desired post formats, whatever you need in your particular case. You can even ask for the output as a table with results right away, including predictions about what kind of audience engagement you might get, and compare it to what you have planned. Yes, this is often a problem for people. People spend a lot of time creating a content plan for themselves at work or for a client on request. Viral headline generator. Yes, same here. Here's the prompt. Let's try it. All we need to do is specify our niche, and that is, there are variables in each prompt. And for example, we'll write AI content here and immediately ask it to use some psychological triggers that are commonly used in advertising. This is what we usually do manually. But in principle, any language model can do all of this for us. But I like Claude the most in this regard. Yes, I let artificial intelligence run my blog for 30 days. The results will shock you and so on. So we already have ready-made viral headlines that we can use, and it immediately calculates, yes, the predicted CTR for us. That is how people will click, and it immediately specifies for us who we are targeting. So our general topic is AI, but we have different target audiences because content created by artificial intelligence is interesting to many people. Many people use neural networks, and as you can see, it even recommends to us which headline will catch which audience. We can immediately take this into account in our advertising, and it creates a whole ready-made document for us, right? We can analyze our competitors. We can compile a list of websites, preferably not too many, of course, but at least your 3 main competitors in your niche, and get a strategic report, see where they have content gaps, what their prices are, what opportunities there are to outrank them in SEO, and so on. So we compare the websites that our competitors have and look at how to make ours better, maybe lower the price somewhere or better explain why someone needs this service. So this can actually be very informative, and Claude will do it quite quickly. An interesting prompt is creating a sequence. Yes, that's a sequence of emails. For example, we have a product that we're trying to sell to our client. It could be anything. That's it. And we need to plan a mailing sequence, how the emails will be sent one after another to our client so that they're consistent and lead the client to make a purchase. For example, let's use this prompt as well. Yes, a sequence, right? And here we need to sell our service. That we're selling AI content creation services? Yes. And we definitely need to have a follow-up, right? And then we click all. Right away, we get the entire sequence of emails, which we just need to hand over to the responsible person or set up the mailing ourselves, right? So first we greet them and immediately provide some value. Yes. And the next day, right away, I'm sure you get these kinds of mailings too. You come across them. Very often you receive them yourself. By the way, people still respond to them quite well. Yes. And we, start building some trust. So we start by providing some value. Then we present a problem and immediately offer some solution to that problem. Yes, again, we provide a solution. And then social proof, we already provide, a message from our client. These templates, I've definitely come across them, but they work. So there's really no need to invent anything new because everything, or let's say almost everything, has already been invented before us. And when you write this yourself, one way or another, you'll end up following these patterns. It's just that a neural network does it faster. Of course, adapt them to your needs, but here you have a ready-made sequence of 7 emails. In my experience, it takes a lot of time when people start writing this themselves, but the value is basically the same. So there's no point in spending more time and, let's say, paid time, yours or your employees, right? Review generator. Yes, 15 realistic reviews about your product with different demographics, different use cases, and different writing styles. This is also something that SEO specialists have always done themselves, often making mistakes in the reviews to make them look more realistic. A neural network can easily do this as well. We create a trend on a certain topic, meaning we adapt whatever is happening right now, any global event that everyone is talking about, and tailor it accordingly. How do you weave your service, your niche into it, and use that to gather organic views and get clients, right? This can basically be anything. We turn frequently asked questions into a content strategy. This works great in combination with customer development when you talk to clients and there are the same questions that people usually ask you. Every business has these. So, for example, we've put together 5, 10, or 20, however many we have. It's better not to write them with AI, but to use real ones because that will be more effective. In this case, we conduct customer development interviews and then we turn that into a strategy. In other words, we incorporate exactly what our clients have asked us into our content strategy and constantly address the questions that interest them most. We plan an advertising campaign for a specific season. We prepare templates personalized for different influencers, how we should approach them. At the same time, we immediately create templates for different types of collaborations. Paid, barter, affiliate marketing, everything we need. Yes, we create a crisis communication playbook, just in case someone posts something negative about our brand. Every brand should have its own ready-made strategy before a crisis happens. For example, we will have training sessions, right? People are dissatisfied with the training, someone didn't complete it, or even competitors are writing bad reviews about you. Well, anything can happen in any business. So we immediately have a ready-made table, meaning what are the most risky and possible scenarios? What could happen? A student, yes. The first reason, a student writes something bad about you. A dissatisfied student creates harmful content about you. And here we immediately have the danger levels. How dangerous is this for the company? Yes, the neural network we looked at isn't working as it should. This is standard as well, right? Someone complained about our student somewhere, an issue with copyright, yes, and so on. So right away, we are preparing a framework for our team. How should we respond to this? Who is in charge there? Who is responsible? How many levels does it go through for us? Who is responsible for what? That is, as the conflict develops, who is responsible for what, who is accountable for what, and how each person should respond. And immediately we have response templates ready, right? Because very often, especially when you have a team working, again, in any business, your team needs to be informed about how to respond because it's not obvious to everyone that you need to reply politely. It's not obvious to everyone that, yes, you need to communicate as much as possible when there are any questions. That's why having such a playbook is really great. Having templates prepared before anything happens in your business. You can also write this out, format it nicely, and keep this document for yourself. Let me remind you again, yes, even the style in which to write, how to respond, a checklist, all of that. And you can immediately save this as a PDF. Strategy for UGC content. Yes, even if you order user-generated content, you always need to come with your own technical brief. Here is a prompt to generate a technical brief. Adapting content for different platforms. You take ready-made content and readapt it, rewrite it, whether it's a script or a text, it doesn't matter. You adapt it for different various platforms. It says 6 here, but you can enter more or fewer depending on what you manage. So we create a framework for your brand, for your personality, one that you can use every time you write a story so you don't repeat yourself. This is a similar point, right? Using repurposed content. Yes, for example, we take one post and turn it into different content units in various formats, an infographic, a video, podcasts, yes, an email, and so on, a webinar. Because the same valuable material, especially when it is truly valuable, can be repurposed. We create personas for our audience. Of course, a persona is also a very important part of any business. And for example, here it's enough to describe your business and a bit about your target audience. Or if you don't quite understand, then in my experience, language models are actually pretty good at coming up with this, right? And they will outline your personas, your target audience with specifics, who this person is, how old they are, what they look like, so that you see not only the person in the context of what you are trying to sell them, but also the person in the context of their other concerns. Hobbies, what they like, what they don't like. This helps you better understand your client. Business and productivity, my favorite. Analyze the transcription of a meeting. Many services now, for example, Zoom, have transcription, and Zoom immediately gives us a summary. But we can use other tools that provide us with a response to our video or audio. They simply give us the text, the transcription of the entire conversation. And so that we don't have to listen to a 3-hour meeting again and no one has to take notes, it's enough for us to take this transcript, upload it to Claude, and get the main points. Who needs to do what was discussed, what was decided, and a summary of the entire meeting. This saves a huge amount of time. Yes, you can document any business process step by step with decision trees with such branches. Yes, a decision tree, a tree of decision making. Where to check quality, where to check for problems, right? And you can even create materials for the team. Again, training materials. What could that be? Let's look at our niche again. For example, we're creating a video with AI for a client and want to document this process to see at which steps there might be some risky moments, right? Where we need to notice something. Basically, we have our own established protocol, for example. But things like this, if you don't have them, you can easily put them together just as quickly in any niche with Claude. So first we collect a brief from the client. Phase. What are the risks? Where can mistakes happen? What is the checkpoint? Then the creative strategy. Yes, we prepare the concept. We get it approved by the client. Yes. Then we create, yes, here it says AI asset. Well, I would put it a bit differently. They go straight to the video, right? We first generate the frames. Well, you definitely need to apply your own experience to what the language model writes, of course. But overall, it's not bad. And here are the decision trees where we make decisions. This is a cool thing, right? What type of video, right? Is there a lot of movement or is it static? Well, here, of course, the language model went a bit overboard with the tools. That's already my professional bias showing. I would have chosen different neural networks here. But as a specialist, you can adjust this to suit your needs. But you see how great it is, how we make decisions, what we use, which tools we choose, what feedback we get, whether we're satisfied, whether we changed the text, didn't like the colors, had issues with the audio, right? Small edits, major edits, or we change everything if we don't like it, right? Does this affect the budget? That is, people often overlook these nuances. Most often, people overlook such nuances, especially when they're just starting their business. That's why it's very important to have this in your business arsenal. And it's very important to outline such things with the help of a neural network. You can create a financial scenario for your business. For example, a conservative, a realistic, and an optimistic one. This way, you can see what might await you in all three cases. Yes, a job description is a very important thing. No one wants to write it either, right? But we can write and fully develop a strategy, for example, for onboarding an assistant or a creator with a daily plan. What should they do? How do you get them up to speed? Conduct an audit of the effectiveness of your role in the company or in general, the role you perform in any business. Build a strategy for handling objections, right? When people argue with you, have doubts, or disagree with your product offer and so on, right? How can you argue or debate with them competently and actually benefit from the discussion rather than lose? Yes, we can create a system that calculates the effectiveness of your team or your department. Yes, for example, KPI tracking system. I write down my own everywhere so that I can analyze how adequate the response is. Yes. See, here we have a metric, and here you just need to fill in your own. So what kind of metrics can we have here? Obviously, growth and revenue. How much is customer satisfaction growing, or is it growing at all? Yes, it should be increasing, not decreasing, because, for example, if we want 90% of our clients to be satisfied, but we have 87, then we need to work on that, right? We can also analyze operational efficiency, how quickly we deliver projects, and so on. Here, it has generated another metric for us to analyze how effectively the team is working. Yes, here you see for a specific specialist, for managers, for the creative director, and basically we can then analyze the whole team. Also a metric for innovation, implementation, and overall quality, right? And then we have this calendar. How often do we need to carefully examine, look at the results, and what exactly should we respond to? So here we have a red flag, a yellow flag, and a green flag, right? Whether everything is fine with us or if things are not going the way we need them to. So again, a ready-made tool for work. Of course, you can request it in any language. Right now we're doing it in English, but it can be in any language that's convenient for you, so that it's clear both to your employees and to you. Again, we can create a matrix, calculate the risks for our business, for our specific project. It doesn't matter. Yes, we can plan a workshop and solve a particular problem, immediately include different techniques there for tackling this task. Create a decision-making framework. Yes, we've already had something similar. But here it's a specifically structured process for decision making. And yes, we can narrow down the scope of which decisions we're talking about. We can take information, our metrics, and by the way, Claude works with the largest volumes of data, right? And turn it into feedback with specific improvement plans so that any analytics isn't just analytics. It has to be used. This is also easy to do specifically with Claude. We can analyze business processes, simply describe them here in our own words, what our main processes are, and see where we have opportunities for automation. That's very convenient. And actually, it's a huge amount of work to be able to see this. And even if a person did this, it would be very effective to supplement it with what Claude can generate for you in such a case. Again, a facilitator for strategic planning, a communication matrix with stakeholders to demonstrate what's happening in your project, right? And another interesting case is checking whether the business model is viable. That is, we describe it, yes, and analyze it from the perspective of startup methodology. Is it worth it or not? In general, does this business model we've come up with or the one we're implementing have any chances? What are its chances to develop and grow?